Uncle Claude here, and to be honest, last night's Super Bowl wasn't really about Tom Brady versus Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes is a very young man. He will be playing in the NFL, barring injury, at least another 10 to 12 years. And he still has a time to write his legacy. Tom Brady's legacy, we know, is more than secure in the NFL, but with his seventh Super Bowl victory, he passed a guy who he's really going up against as the greatest of all time. And let me make myself clear, even though, and I'm certainly not a fan of Tom Brady, I am not a fan of the other guy that they call the GOAT in the NBA, and that's the guy who he's really chasing. And I'm not talking about LeBron James, who is the current GOAT in the National Basketball Association, but it is a guy who last played his basketball way back in 2003 as a member of the Washington Wizards. And you already know who I'm talking about. Of course, I'm talking about Michael Jeffrey Jordan. Now, last night, Tom Brady won 7 Super Bowls, and he won 5 MVPs. They gave him the MVP, and I understand why, even though he had a pedestrian 201 yards passing, but he did throw for 3 touchdowns and no interceptions. Now, Jordan won 6 championships. He was 6-0 in his championships, and he won 6 MVPs. Now, I understand comparing football players to basketball players obviously is comparing apples to oranges, because football is the ultimate team sport. And even though basketball is a team sport as well, it is more of an individual sport than basketball. Obviously, Tom Brady can't do anything without an offensive line to block for him and receivers to catch the football. There have been many times where Jordan had to carry his team on his proverbial shoulders. Now, obviously, he did not start winning championships until Scottie Pippen grew into his roles, and without a very good to great power forward like a Horace Grant type or a Dennis Rodman type. But when you look at the sheer dominance, Michael Jordan is far and above a much, much greater player than Tom Brady has ever been. And that's not to say that Brady isn't a great quarterback and is not one of the all-time greats. But if you look at Tom Brady's career, now the first few times he was carried by a pretty good running game. I mean, he had running backs like Antoine Smith, who gained 1,500 yards, or Corey Dillon, who gained about 1,200 yards. He had those guys in the backfield. Then you give him a Randy Moss. Now, that team obviously lost the Super Bowl to the Giants, but he's had very good complementary guys. A Rob Gronkowski, of course. Troy Brown. But he didn't have to carry the team like Jordan had to carry the Chicago Bulls. And again, I'm not the biggest Jordan fan in the world, but I give credit where it's due. Now, in my opinion, there have been much better quarterbacks, but they did not have the personnel around them that Brady's had. Guys like Warren Moon, Dan Marino, those guys come to mind. I could go even further if I want, but I'll just choose those 2 guys because they did not win championships, even though Marino was able to go to 1 Super Bowl. And again, there are several others that do come to mind, of course. I'm not talking about the Brett Favre's of the world, and he did win 1, but he had, to me, more talent than guys like Brady did. So, to be fair, Brady got more out of his talent than anybody in pro football. But as far as sheer dominance and excellence at their sport, Tom Brady is not touching number 23 of the Chicago Bulls. Please like, share, and subscribe, ladies and gentlemen. UncleClaude signing out. Take care. God bless and stay safe, everybody.